Just look at the numbers, David. We reached the point of 100 people murdered in the Arab society since the beginning of the year. 50 people were murdered up until June. 50 people since June. What happened in June? The change of government. For the first time, there was an Arab party within the coalition. So, and one that, at least on paper, wants to take care of violence in the Arab sector. What happens on the ground? 50 people were killed in 6 months under the Netanyahu government. 50 people were killed in 3 months under the Bennett government with the presence of Ram and coalition. That's double the amount. So, Ram, one of the reasons that they justified the entry into a coalition with a right-wing prime minister such as Naftali Bennett and with other right-wing governments, right-wing parties, is the fact that they want to take care of this issue of the violence in the Arab sector. How do you take care of that? Through the police, through the law enforcing units. But what happens when police comes into the cities? Again, after the authorities in the Arab sector ask them to go in because the level of violence there is really intolerable, then they get beaten by private security guards. These are, at least on paper, not criminals. These are people employed by the municipality there in Kfar Qasim. So do they want the assistance of the police, or do they not want the assistance of the police? Many questions there, and at the end of the day, the people that suffer the most are the citizens of the Arab sector. Many of them are being killed. Yes, many of those targeted are people, criminals dealing with the criminal sector, but not everybody, of course. Many of the people getting killed or injured or just intimidated are just the citizens that have nowhere to turn to.
So you highlight this, right? The new government, such a different makeup than the previous one, coming in on this campaign of going after this scourge in society, the 100 murder mark being reached right now this weekend, though. But is there any perceptible change aside from for the worst? We're seeing, you mentioned, a faster rate of murder, actually, in fact, since this government took place. We know places like Kfar Qasim were a bit underreported in terms of the level of a place like that. You know, police cars pile up and burn at the entrance to that town. Police not welcome in these areas now. Any change? Are there any new moves coming into effect? Anything we should look out for that may change this?
There was a plan, and again moved forward by Prime Minister Naftali Bennett to combat the violence in the Arab sector. Since it began, we only saw a rise in the number of murders there. The question is, what does the Arab sector, and mainly the leaders of the Arab sector, what do they want from police? Do they want the police to come in and try and combat this wave, or do they not want them? Here we saw police coming in, trying to combat the violence in the Arab sector. What happens? They clash with security guards employed by the municipality. So what exactly does, we're speaking of the Arab community, but this is of course a very big generalization. We're speaking mainly of the leaders of the Arab community, that they constantly complain about the fact that the Arab sector does not get the same benefits as the Jewish sector. So here comes the police saying, here, we will go in, we will try to combat along with you the level of violence. What happens? They get beaten up by these security guards.
Thank you very much, Jonathan Regev. Obviously an issue that seems to be staying with us for some time here. Get the latest breakdown from you.